Today, we're talking about something pretty heavy. It's the story of a tragic and cautionary viral phenomenon, the Blackout Challenge.
And that's the terrifying part, isn't it? Everything that follows, all the heartbreak, all the loss, it all started with this one simple, chilling premise.
Those are the actual words of a parent. A haunting summary of a video they found on their child's phone. I mean, just imagine. To really understand how we got to a point like that, we have to look at what this challenge actually was.
So, let's break it down. What exactly was this so-called game, and how in the world did a simple dare turn into something that literally kills?
Okay, so here's the deal. The whole idea was to choke yourself with belts, ropes, your own hands until you passed out, all while on camera. The goal was to induce hypoxia, which is just a technical way of saying you're cutting off oxygen to your brain, all for a quick high, or I guess just to say you did it. It was sold as this harmless dare, but the line between passing out for a few seconds and just never waking up again, it's terrifyingly razor thin.
So, you've got to be asking, how does something so obviously dangerous go global? Well, it wasn't an accident, not at all. There was a powerful engine here, a viral engine, pushing it right into the feeds of its most vulnerable audience.
And here's how that engine worked. The platform's own algorithm, that For You page, was a massive part of the problem. It was actively pushing these videos to kids, and the videos themselves were sneaky. They were disguised as fun dares or passing out hacks, stuff that sounds almost innocent, right? This let them slip past weak content filters. And of course, the hashtags just amplified everything, making it almost impossible for a young user to avoid seeing it.
And the scale here, it's just staggering. We're talking billions of views, billions with a B. This wasn't some dark corner of the internet, you know. For a while, it was absolutely everywhere, served up right next to the latest dance video or a funny meme. And all that reach, those billions of views, it came with an absolutely devastating human cost. This is where the viral trend crashes into the real world, with tragic consequences. Just think about this number for a second, 20. In just 1 year, in the US alone, at least 20 children died. 20 families completely shattered, all because of a viral dare. And when you see who the victims were, the story gets even more heartbreaking.
Look at this. These weren't just, older teenagers making reckless choices. A huge chunk of the victims were between 8 and 13 years old. 8 years old. These are little kids, some of them not even in middle school yet.
And they aren't just numbers on a chart. These are real kids. You've got 10-year-old Joshua in Colorado, 9-year-old Ariani in Chicago. And it wasn't just in the US, 13-year-old Milan in Italy. The worst part? In almost every single case, they were found alone, and their phones were often still recording the whole tragic attempt. This quote, this is from a parent, and it just captures all the anger and the accusation that started to bubble up. This feeling that it wasn't just some tragic accident, but that the challenge was actively pushed on their kids.
And for every death that we hear about, there were so many more kids who survived, but their lives were changed forever. We're talking over 100 reported non-fatal cases, and each one of those is a family now dealing with a massive medical crisis.
Yeah, surviving didn't mean you just walked away fine. For many, it meant permanent brain damage from the lack of oxygen. It meant broken necks from falling after passing out. It meant a lifetime of dealing with seizures. The game might last a few seconds, but the consequences, they can literally last forever.
So, in the wake of all this tragedy, the focus naturally started to shift. It went from the kids doing the challenge to the platform where it was spreading like wildfire. So what happened next? What was the aftermath? Well, the platform did eventually take action. They banned the hashtag. But for so many families, it was just too little, too late. The fight then moved from social media into the court system. We started seeing class action lawsuits, wrongful death suits, families trying to hold the company responsible for what happened to their children. And the core of their legal arguments was pretty straightforward. They argued that the platform wasn't just a neutral space, like a bulletin board. They said its algorithm was an active participant, a curator that they claimed knowingly pushed this deadly stuff right to its youngest, most impressionable users. And this whole situation really exposed a huge problem with trying to moderate these platforms. Sure, you can ban one specific hashtag, but what happens? Users just create new ones. They misspell words, they make small changes, and the dangerous content keeps circulating. It becomes this endless game of cat and mouse with the moderators.
Okay, so I know all of this information it's heavy, it's a lot to take in, but it's so important to know that there are things you can do. There are concrete steps you can take. So, what are the experts recommending for parents and guardians right now?
The guidance is really direct. First off, just follow the age limits. If your kid is under 13, the advice is to delete the app. Second, you can take some control back from the algorithm, disable autoplay, and actually monitor what's showing up on that For You page. Third, and this is probably the most important one, have the talk. Sit down and explain that these aren't games, they are incredibly dangerous, life-threatening activities. And finally, you can be part of the solution. If you see this stuff, report it immediately.
This quote from another parent really says it all, doesn't it? The big takeaway here is vigilance. And it's not about being distrustful, it's just about understanding the world our kids are living in, an environment that can turn deadly in a split second.
So when you look back on all this, it's just crystal clear. The Blackout Challenge was never just some harmless social media trend. It was a digital predator, and it was disguised as a game served right up to children. And that leaves us with the one question that parents, that lawmakers, that safety advocates are still asking. As new challenges pop up, and you know they will, how do we stop this from happening all over again?